Hey, I'm Dean and this is Legacy Voyage. In Season 1, I'm documenting my journey to earning my first 100K net worth as a full-time college student. Join me as I share some of the lessons I learned along the way.
Low-key been a little inconsistent over the past 2-ish weeks. I think since I moved out here to Utah, I'm still trying to find my groove and get into a routine that really fits my life and goals right now. Which honestly, saying out loud is kind of OD because I feel like I've been out here so long already. The fact that I haven't found a good rhythm yet is kind of annoying. Either way, instead of doing this podcast on my way to work, because this past week was kind of hectic in terms of work. This time it's just a Sunday, I'm going for a walk, so decided I can record a little pod. Just to give a little rundown over this past week, for 2 of the days, I really didn't put in any work because my family came in, kind of took away the car, so I couldn't really get to work. And there was a couple big things that I realized. First thing, working from home friggin' sucks, bro. It just doesn't have the same energy. And I noticed this because ever since I started working at Leland, it was always remote because I was in school, and then I came in person. I was like, okay, this is my new normal. This is great. But then when I worked from home for the first time a couple days ago, like, I really felt that difference because it's so hard to lock in when everyone around me isn't locked in, and I'm also the only one there. And it's so easy to just get distracted and do other stuff when no one is really around me to hold me accountable. So that's something I noticed, is that working from home kind of sucks, at least in my opinion. Which is kind of interesting because when COVID hit and when school went remote, I low-key loved doing school from home because I could just do whatever. I could just join the Zoom call, work on anything I wanted at home, and just they never know. I don't really have to be locked in. But in terms of working and actually getting things done, I think it's actually important. Because if you really wanted to learn, I'm assuming doing school in person is better. And I think that would hold true for me. If I actually wanted to learn, of course I would prefer in-person school. But if I didn't really want to learn and just go through the motions, then I'd prefer online. So I think that carries over. There's probably some disconnect, but that makes sense for the most part. A couple other things I've been thinking about is something I'm calling wanters. And that's a pretty self-explanatory term. All it refers to is people who love wanting. Because as I've been out here in Utah and not really being around the same people that I was when I was in SF or at school, another thing I noticed is the difference in caliber and the difference in ambition and drive. And it's really got me thinking about the types of people that I want to surround myself with. And I might have mentioned this in the last podcast, but out there in Chicago or at school, it's super easy to find cracked people. But what's hard is finding people who share the same values. Out here in Utah, it's the exact opposite problem. It's so difficult to find cracked, ambitious people, at least for me. And it's so easy to find people who share those same values. And so I guess being out here in Utah has been making me think a lot about who I want to surround myself with. Because I still haven't figured out, or at least I haven't found those people out here. And I think it's going to be a long while until I do find those people, because it took me ages to find those people out there at Northwestern, bro. And the only reason I found them was because I went to SF. I think it's going to take some similar type of effort, or I don't know, something that I have to put in or go to find those people. But this is how the term wanter came into my vocabulary. Because I really got thinking about the type of people I don't want to surround myself with. And those people are wanters. The people who are constantly talking about the things they want. But the key caveat is that they're not actually working towards those things. I could say all I want, oh, I want a 6-pack, or I want $1 million, or I want a big fancy car. When in reality, what are my actions reflecting? So those are wanters, and those are also the people who I don't want to be around. Another thing I've been thinking about is a sort of paradox with the dream self, the whole framework that I live my life by. And the paradox is this, because we're always trying to work toward our dream self, right? I'm always trying to work toward my dream self, the person that I want to become. But as I kept thinking about that, I realized that if there's ever a day where I wake up and I'm like, I did it. I am my dream self. Like, I have reached the dream self. Then that probably means one of two things. Either one, I'm just lying to myself. I'm like, okay, I tell myself I have reached the dream self when in actuality I haven't even come close to him. Or two, my idea of the dream self isn't nearly as thought out as it could be. And I think the reason this is really important is because it comes back to an idea that genuinely kind of changed my life. And it's the idea of the infinite game. But as a reminder, the basic gist of the infinite game is that there are some games that have an end date and they have a clear winner. Easy examples are like high school or football games or most of any game ever in the world that you can think of off the top of your head, like golf or basketball or whatever. And then you have these infinite games. And these are like marriage or health or business, where the point isn't to win at marriage or at health, but the point is to stay married or to stay healthy or stay in business and enjoy the process, enjoy the game along the way. And that's the reason why it feels weird if there's ever a day where I wake up and I'm like, oh, I've hit my dream self. And the reason it feels weird is because it's supposed to be an infinite game. Like if I wake up one day, I'm like, okay, I won at marriage, and then I get a divorce, it's like, bro, you missed the whole point of the game. In the same way as like if I wake up, like, okay, I won at this dream self thing, it's time to quit. It's like that's not how it works. That's not how the game works. This is an infinite game. And the final thing I've been thinking about is the power of using the bathroom without a phone. I kind of thought about this when I first came to Utah because I felt like I was super distracted in those first couple weeks. But I remembered a quote that I heard, I think it was on like a Chris Williamson podcast, and I talked about it ages ago. But the quote is basically like, be one with the poop. And that's just to say, use the bathroom without a phone, which is honestly kind of scary as someone who uses their phone a ton. Like that first week when I came to Utah, I was just on my phone, I don't know, scrolling through LinkedIn or watching a YouTube video or whatever. And I would just be like wasting time that way. But then I remember that quote. I was like, okay, let me try this. I put my phone away. I was like, dang, it's been a while since I sat with my thoughts. Because usually those silent runs are when I do them, but I haven't really been running over the past like 2 weeks. So I think trying to find those moments for self-reflection will be pretty important in the infinite game of mental health. But that said, that is one thing that I definitely want to do is start establishing a better routine, a better schedule. And when I say that, it means trying to find time where I can meaningfully run or meaningfully go to the gym. Because I have been going to the gym and I've been doing a couple runs here and there. But honestly, I think the main thing is just sleep because my sleep was thrashed this past week. But something else I've been thinking about is how low key, not even low key, kind of high key, I really want to go out to SF after I graduate. Because now that I found out I graduated in March, I met with my manager with our one-on-one. I was like, straight up, bro. So y'all finna give me the offer? Or like, what's the plans here? And it was like low-key ballsy because it's kind of crazy that an intern would just like ask him straight up like that. But I think it's true. From the feedback that he's given me, it's like, okay, I do good work. So what opportunities are going to open up? But as I've been thinking about that more and more, even if they give me the offer, I think it would really depend on what the offer is. Because being out here in Utah, it's a big plus because, yes, I'm with the fam and it's great to just hang out with them every weekend or whatever. But what's kind of tough is that it's hard to lock in. Like, over the past 3 weeks that I've been here, I haven't been locked in every single weekend. Because when I was in SF or even when I was in school, I could lock in on the weekends. Like my entire Saturdays, Friday nights, most of Sunday, it was all just like locking in and doing work. But now that I'm out here, like I'm barely working maybe an hour the entire weekend. And a big reason is because I'm just out here around family. And so I don't have the excuse of like being in a completely other state. Because if I was in Chicago or if I was in SF, like I wouldn't be going to all these family functions and I'd only be going to like the most important ones. But now because I'm out here, it's kind of like an obligation to go to all of the functions, even if it's like a function that's like semi important. So as of right now in my head, I think that's a big con of staying out here, or why I would return here full time after I graduate. But on the other side of that coin is also like a major pro because I'm around family. So it's like, I guess both of them will have to go hand in hand. And if I apply that moving to SF, it would be like the same situation where I can be out there and I can get locked in, but then there's no family. So that would be kind of tough. And I think I realized this especially because that's exactly what happened this weekend. Like yesterday, I could have worked the whole day, but there was this thing that my family was going to. So I was like, yes, I will go. And as I went, I was like, the entire time I was literally looking at startup jobs in SF. I was like, okay, well, how can I get out there? So the next couple months, I think, is going to be interesting to see where I end up going, because when all is said and done, I'm literally just an intern at a startup getting 15 bucks an hour. Like, realistically, I don't have that much pedigree on my resume or like fancy brand name. Besides, like, I guess I have the Northwestern brand name and I have the Deloitte thing from the program. So maybe that might open doors, but freak, bruh. I might have to hop on the recruiting grind in a little bit to lock in a startup job. Anyways, I guess I could give a little life update because I haven't done that in a little bit. So, a little life update first on my God, then myself, my people, and my work. I kind of already ran through everything, but in a more formal way. Update on my God. Bro, honestly, I've been thinking about this a little more about love languages, because I know that my love language is quality time, but especially quality conversations. And so I was kind of thinking about that in terms of what that would look like with my relationship with God. I really asking myself, like, what does my quality time with God look like? But especially, what do those quality conversations look like? And I can quite honestly say it's pretty non-existent right now, because I'll get into the swing of things where I'm like, I build up the habit, but it only sticks for like a week max. Which, now that I'm saying out loud, I'm low-key a wanter in that domain. Like, I'm a wanter in the whole spiritual religious game, because I think for ages, months back, I've been saying, oh, I want to build a relationship, or I want to come closer to him. When in reality, if you look at my actions, like, sure, I've been reading the Bible off and on, saying prayers off and on, but nothing has really stuck. So I want to do more thinking about how I can put more thought into making a habit that might actually stick or actually work. And along with that, I've noticed this over and over and over again. When my relationship with God is not as good as it could be, usually, not always, but usually, everything else kind of like falls under. I don't want to say everything else. It's not really everything else. Mostly it's just sleep. And then after my sleep gets jacked up, everything else is just like sucks. Because, bro, sleep is so important, bro. So as per usual, the two big things I want to work on is relationship with God and sleep. And those kind of go hand in hand, because it's all about the sleeping and morning routine, which is where I want to build in the relationship with God habit somewhere in there. But freak, I feel like those are the two biggies. And then update on my people. Like I've been saying, it's been hard to really find those people out here in Utah. I know they're out here. I know there's cracked fools, because I remember meeting like a BYU guy who got into YC when I was in SF. So surely these cracked fools are out there. I just gotta find them somehow. And then last thing, update on my work. I basically gave the whole spiel, thinking about where I'm gonna end up, having that talk with my manager, seeing where things go. But over these next couple weeks, I think I'm gonna start prioritizing, or at least start emulating what it would be like to truly be locked in. So over the next week, I'm just gonna stay locked in every day. No more of this YSA, no more of this like weekend quick trips. I just want to stay locked in to see what it would be like if I lived in SF, so I could possibly get the best of both worlds, where I could stay locked in but also be around family. And then, of course, like I mentioned, working on my sleep, because that is so important, and relationship with God. But besides that, that's the basic gist of everything. And as always, recording the journey is kind of a dub. And I was thinking about it today, bro. It's crazy that I can say I've recorded my journey since I was 18. Because right now I'm 20, bro. And I'm about to turn 21. So that's like Almost 3 years, bro. That's wild. And I guess it'll just keep going from there, but we'll see what life has in store for me. I'll catch y'all later. I record these episodes completely free to share success with everyone. So the only thing I ask is that if you learned anything or found something interesting in this episode, just leave a review and share it with a friend. Only takes 5 seconds and it would mean the world. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next episode. Tatok, see you.